guys, what's up? This is Winsky. Welcome back to my Let's Play Raging Loop. Last time we just finished our first run of like a complete ending and we got completely cucked. Like almost everyone in the village died and we died. So it was really bad. So now we're gonna go back and do things over again and this time try to be in the feast and see how we can maybe change our fate and not get killed or everyone killed this time. So we're gonna load back to the beginning where he can make that choice, which is over here. Oh, he remembers. He remembers. Suddenly, a dash of memories flooded into my mind, and we see the pictures now. Remember incident. Right! How did I forget? I'd already experienced this looping phenomenon or whatever. Hold on. Looping? What the hell? There was no way something like that could... But... if that wasn't it, what else could explain this? Also, why were there 3 wolves? I thought there was 2 wolves. I know there was an imposter, but I thought the imposter wasn't a wolf. How else could I? Someone who died once? Well, you died twice. Be alive now. I had clear memories of getting caught up in some strange incident at Yasumizu and, shit. I couldn't remember how it ended. It was like this last time, too. My memories were all fragmented. Oh, so he doesn't remember everything. Okay, that's interesting. But I did remember that I went to Yasumizu, met the people there, and died. Had I come back here when, or because I died? That was a ridiculous idea, but the pain and fear I felt back then was just so vivid and fresh in my mind that I couldn't simply dismiss it as just a dream or illusion. There was no point in lying to myself. I was here having experienced something that made me sure I died. It was an incomplete memory from the future. I had no idea why I had it, but I definitely did. I had to come to terms with it first and foremost. The gas tank wasn't empty, but my phone couldn't find a signal and was running out of battery, and my throat was a bit dry, exactly like last time. That meant that I was about to arrive at the grocery store? Knew it. I really didn't want to meet that employee again, but from what I experienced, she was the only one I met before going to Fujiyoshi, so avoiding her probably wasn't a good idea. Her attitude was shit, but at least she always did what I asked. Though I really didn't want to drive down that unpaved road again. Yeah, didn't he like last time fall? Let's not do that again. Let's not break the pike again. Oh, we hear the chime this time, or did I just not notice the last time? Once again, she greeted her customer in a borderline insane way. It actually made me kind of relieved, and I wanted to believe that it was just some trick of the mind. I wonder if she's like related to the incident, or this completely isn't involved. Like, why does he just turn back now, you know? It was just like before. To her, I was just an annoying late night customer. Oh well, I just buy what I wanted.
くださいな。あ？どんだけ買う気なんだよ。
This is hold up, let me turn down my volume a little bit on my end. No reason, Yasumizu was just desperately poor and it had me worried. What was her problem? I was the customer. With this much stuff, she had to use the register. Still grumbling, she started scanning the barcodes. Yeah, get enough food so you ain't starving this time, sir. Once she was done, I paid and asked.
近場の人里を目指したいんですけど、地図を見せてもらえませんか？あ？地図なんざねえよ。そこをなんとか。
He's nicer this time. She went through the staff door. Well, that was easy.
あったわ。
I knew it.
これがこの店。で、十字路を北へ行け。ふむふむ。しばらくしたら立教があっから渡れ。
最初の分岐のとこに大岩があっから、そこを右折して、あとは直線。
地図には森しか見えませんが。
I knew that it was. There wasn't even a paved road there. Why'd you recommend the road anyway? If I crashed and died, it'd be homicide by negligence.
書かれてねえだけで集落があんだよ。
That wasn't a lie. It wasn't weird for Yasumizu to not be on the map. It was a nearby abandoned settlement in the middle of nowhere. Why did you know about it? Did you live in Kami Fujiyoshi or something?
ちょっとバイクじゃきつそうですね。そっちの富士吉村には？
くっそ面倒な峠道で2時間かかんぞ。
一応メモっといていいですか？
好きにしろよ。
隣の町は
山2つ向こう。
Dang, 2 mountains. Man, I couldn't make any sense of the local distance measurements.
ここいらを深夜に無茶すんのは進めねえぜ。
Well, clearly. Oh, an actual consideration. Though it was hard to be grateful. She was the one who pointed me in the direction of that shitty road in the first place.
引き返すのも勇気ってやつじゃねえの。
You know what? This definitely applies to our protagonist who never turns back on anything. Turning back, huh?
まあ考えますよ。どうも。
I wonder if she's after all connected to the story, like about the village and everything after all.
毎度。
あ、そうだ。この辺でローカルな飲み物とかってないです？陳列棚には特にはなさそうでしたけど。
いや、そこにねえもんはねえって。
もしかしたらバックヤードにあるかもしれないなと思って。
あるわけねえだろ。
まあまあ一応見るだけでも。
待ってろ。
Man, she is so hostile. So they do have it. She was lying. Seriously? She brought me a 500cc bottle with black liquid inside. The label looked written by hand and said Wild Plant Cola. What is that? I expected nothing and got something huge. This place was amazing.
あ、すみません。荷物だいぶ多くなっちゃったんで、荷台にくくるゴムロープみたいなのないですか？
てめえ、ここはコンビニだぞ。
It's like asking for everything.
見てくれるだけでいいんで。
待ってろ。
He's like, just look for it and she finds it.
あったわ。
Seriously?
せっかくなんで、このメモにあるその他ちょっとしたものたちを一通り見てきてもらえないですか？
So annoyed. You keep asking questions.
いい加減にしろよ、てめえ殺すぞ。
ついに殺すって言った？一応で構いませんから。
待ってろ。
She's so done with us.
全部あったわ。
They did? That's crazy.
なんなんだこのコンビニ。
Dude, they have. Is this like some witchcraftery? She just goes in her magic room and pulls something out. Oh my god. What is that sound? Did we get beat up? It felt like she was about to kill me, but I successfully came out with pretty much all I needed. Then I just made a run for it. I opened up the weird wild plant cola. Looking up at the noisy light trap above, I took a sip. It was cool, intense, and had a strange, grassy flavor, but wasn't too bad at all. I expected something totally gross, but it was actually a legit drink. Slightly disappointed, I looked at the ingredients. Cola and plant extract. Hold on. Cola as an ingredient? Did they just buy cola and mix it in? And plant extract could be from anything from fruits to poisonous plants. What the hell? Was this even safe to drink? Yeah, definitely not sus at all. Like, whose idea was it to make that? Well, at least it tasted good. It was probably smart to just turn around and drive away. Entering Fujiyoshi means death. Turn back. Perhaps that's what the loops are trying to tell me. Maybe I ought to listen? But was it really that easy? I had no real grounds for this, but if the cause for this strange phenomenon was somewhere in the village, perhaps I couldn't break out of the loop until I solved the mystery behind it. What would have happened if I left then? Would I go on and live out the rest of my life only to die and come back here? Would I return to youth after years of being old? That part didn't sound half bad actually, but was it something really I could just accept so easily? This was just speculation. But what if I actually hadn't moved an inch from that mountain pass? What if everything from then, now, and until death was just an antemortem fever dream, and dying again would just bring me back here? If that's how it was, everything I did with my life from this point onward would be meaningless. Maybe I should really move on only after taking care of whatever was binding me. Also, how could I just leave something so strange, unnatural, and incomprehensible and just return to the city? There we go again with Haruaki-san, just curiosity killing the cat. Like, he just never knows how to turn back and give up. Wait, we have so many choices. Turning back is obviously not an option. Like, I don't think this game would be that easy. What does pass by Fujiyoshi mean? Well, let's save. So what's the normal route? Because when we came in from the river, we were like bad news or something. So, okay, we had like 3 different routes. Okay. Let's think. I don't know what this normal route is referring to though. Like, what does pass by Fujiyoshi mean? Like, are we going to the other city? I feel like I'm supposed to pick this one, but this one's curious. I'm gonna try this one. As I finished my drink, the idea I had was barely different from just turning around and leaving. Wait, we're passing by. Does that mean... Maybe I might get attacked by monsters and die because I didn't try to go inside. We'll see. Maybe I could just pass it by? Actually, I don't think we can. Maybe I should just go back and pick the other route. Wait, it says dead. Okay. So, I'm about to die, but we'll see. I was curious what would happen if I ignored Yasumizu, Fujiyoshi, and the clerk's warning and simply drove on past. So I guess the other 2 aren't options. Wait, why would anything happen? I just continued down the road, right? Why did I feel so uneasy then? Well, we're about to die, but I want to see how we die. After thinking for a moment, I arrived at the mindset of eliminating whatever options seemed wrong. My guess was that this wouldn't take care of the root of the problem. But I was the type who wouldn't believe that until I tried it myself. I turned the key, opened the throttle, pushed the signal to the left, and connected to the clutch. Away I went, starting with a right turn. The tense mountain path continued for a while. Though it didn't feel like falling asleep, I definitely becoming more and more exhausted, both mentally and physically. Even in this jacket, the force of the wind was going by doing the number on my body, especially as I kept onward for over an hour. So when it originally said pass by, I thought we were meant like we go to the other city. But I didn't mean like completely pass by, but we're just gonna see how this goes. I did, however, see a sign above my head that said Fujiyoshi. And as I decided, I just passed it by, never coming close to Kami Fujiyoshi or Yasumizu. Now I just passed the 2 mountains and reached the town I was told about. Perhaps I should have been more suspicious of the fact that I stopped acting on my heart after that. Maybe I was just so tired I couldn't even make such decisions. I could only remember noticing a strangely dense mist surrounding me. Not the dense mist! But that was when my brain lost all capacity for perception or judgment. And we die. Do the wolves get us, or do we crash? That was a fast game over. Okay. Well, it looks like we can't just pass by. So we had to all right. This one probably ain't working either. So we're gonna do this. As I finished my drink, I made my decision. I'd return there. I'd face the tragedy again. Of course, I was curious about this looping phenomenon, but I did recall what I thought during my final moments. It was something like, if only I handled this better. And for better or worse, this looping phenomenon had given me a chance to do just that. If I went about it all a bit better, perhaps I could get a better ending. Hisako Mamiya, Yudai Hashimoto, Kanzo Makishima, Yoshitsugu Oribe, Takumi Muro, The Old Man Who Cried Wolf, Shikamochi Kamushida, Rikaku Umeatsu, Kaori Oribe, Kyonosuke no Sato, Meiko. Hell, even Yasunaga Oribe, Tai Yamawaki, and Haru Makishima were just victims of the strange superstition. But I, Haruaki Fusaishi, could not delude myself. I was no hero. I had no powers, no convictions. I was just a... what is that word? Dilettante? My only motivation here was a sense of perfectionism. I was annoyed at how many mistakes I'd made the first time around. Well, second time around, actually. Plus, there was a certain attraction I felt toward the unknown. It was an urge foundational to my being. We could see that. And I'd be risking my life on its behalf. I wasn't about to pretend I was acting for the sake of others here. Although... Chiemi Serizawa. Though she hated her childhood home, it remained part of who she was. And I wanted to keep that from being tarnished with blood. That motive was perverse, forceful, selfish, lustful, and filthy. And I couldn't let myself forget any of that. I remember the names of those I'd meet and what I had to do. I turned the key, opened the throttle, pushed the signal to the left, and connected the clutch. Anyway, I went, staring at a right turn, starting with right turn. Let me see. Okay. So this one.
しばらくしたら立教があっから渡れ。最初の分岐のとこに大岩があっからそこを右折してあとは直線。
I quickly came across it. I could clearly remember this overpass. The large boulder wasn't new to me either, but I couldn't take that route this time. I just kept on driving, not lowering my speed for a moment. Full speed ahead, is that a good idea? In these roads? I drove on the winding mountain path. Strangely enough, my fatigue, though present, wasn't too bad, and my head was perfectly clear. I knew which route to take without even looking at my copy of the map. Or maybe I'd driven through here before? Perhaps this wasn't the first choice I made, but one of many? I couldn't be sure, and since my memories were so incomplete, nothing was certain. Still, they'd be an asset in the fight ahead. I wasn't going into this unarmed. I could no longer see the moon. If those memories held true, the rain would begin soon.
ここまでよ。
End of the line? What do you mean?
あれだ。大将、今のはそれだ。正確にはこの後、選択肢が出るまでは大丈夫だから、ぼちぼち挨拶
Dang,
やら
that's
何やらの
not
準備をし
enough
といてくれ。
content at all. I'm definitely... So we're going to turn this off and I'm going to continue the upload. Because I think I looked it up and I think other Let's Play channels did the whole thing. And it's been years since release, so I'm going to turn this off. Wait, where is this? The road wasn't wide, but I decelerated and somehow managed a U-turn. There were no other cars, so no one would complain. I returned and looked at the sign, and it said driving ahead led me to Kachihara, while by turning right, I'd find myself in Fujiyoshi.
ようやくか。
It was already past midnight, but actually earlier than I thought. A 30-minute drive from this point would lead me to Fujiyoshi, or rather, Kami Fujiyoshi, the place that wasn't too popular among Yasumizu's people. Wait, how do I change?
ペコリよ。ここでは
How do I turn it on, off again?
レイジングですから、かといというは、ちなみに具体的相当むしろちなみにこの後動画配信終了。
Right.
そこちなみに今はオンの状態ですよ。はい。また切り替えたいときは0
Right.
導入。
Alright, we're gonna go back
ここに
because
来てください
the
ね。
screen was all black and I was wondering like, we need keys? Come on. Okay, so it's still black, okay.
ようやくか。
It was already past midnight, but actually earlier than I thought. A 30-minute drive from this point would lead me to... Yeah, we did that. Of course. Everything is locked.
お、家だ。
Okay, we entered the village. My time estimate was more or less right. After 30 minutes or so, I began seeing houses between the hills and the trees. I eventually left the forest and could see as well as anyone could in the middle of the night. It was already raining, and I knew it'd only get worse. I had to do something before that happened. They were next to no city lights, and not a single house I could see lit up either. However, unlike Yasumizu, the destitute place where most of the houses had been built from wood, the houses there were modern. The road was well paved too, and I could see just some bus stops and vending machines, emphasizing that this was modern.
宿があるとしても、この時間に突然素泊まりができるとは思えないな。
Some would think that there was a way for me to at least get a roof over my head, but I knew that was just a city dweller misconception. Same one for the idea that rural folk were nice enough to just let you stay if you just asked nicely. That was just pure delusion. In actuality, rural areas were subject to local legends and traditions, with many of the residents believing good, peaceful lives were only possible thanks to their protection. Of course, that wasn't always wrong, but that was also the reason why many rural people were so cold to outsiders. Hell, this was the village so behind at times it still had a settlement for the ostracized, which they discriminated against so badly. This place was probably even more insular than your average rural village. They wouldn't take kindly to an outsider like me and would probably be wary the entire time I stayed here. I could only imagine how strongly they'd react if some brown-haired man suddenly drove in on a bike and...
くらーなんじゃ貴様止まれ降りろ同行せ
That voice acting though, that's funny. Who's this officer we never met before? Was I some sort of idiot? Like the city boy I was, I just went in there thinking it all worked out. Whoa. Reluctant questioning, okay? And now I'd caught the attention of a police officer. Well, I doubted he arrested me or anything, but the fact that there was some weirdo who invaded the village in the middle of the night would spread among the people here in less than a day. Now I'd be treated like a criminal if I wanted to talk to anyone here. The officer looked middle-aged, but what stood out about him was the fact that he seemed like the most generic, meathead old man from the countryside. He told me to sit down here and wait until he came back. I could only imagine the chewing out I was in for. Still, I was pretty sure that passing Kami Fujiyoshi was one of the main conditions here. I could clearly remember. Yeah, I think we had to go through like the normal route. Oh, that's what they meant by the normal route. Okay, because like going through Saranga meant we were bad news or something. I had memories of this. Hisako and Mamiya Yudai Hashimoto came through here through the normal route, and they weren't considered a problem. They had died on the first day of the feast, but that wasn't because they were outsiders. They just violated the feast rules. They either hadn't cleansed themselves, sheltered all alone, or dreamed. My assumption was that before it all happened, they'd stayed out at an inn in Kamifujiyoshi. They only come to Yasumizu on that day for the sake of an article. Unfortunately for them, the mist came and the landslide happened, making it impossible for them to go back to Kamifujiyoshi by car. And then everybody started sheltering and no one came to help them. That's sad.
ほっとけそんなよそ者。俺はおやっさんと他の連中んち回るから絶対戻れよ。チビ。
Oh. Yeah, even Takumi-san had tried to cut me off because I was an outsider. Giving me a way to survive, however improvised, was probably a huge risk for Chiemi. I had to keep that in mind. Yeah, so she saved her life the first time. Back to the journalists though. They'd ended up abandoned in the village plaza, clueless about what was happening. Yeah, like we barely even got to meet them and talk to them. I wanted to learn more, you know. What had they done then? They'd obviously chosen to spend the night in the van. I had no idea how Hashimoto and Mamiya-san fit in there together, but since they hadn't slept alone, they'd broken the shelter rule. Hell, I wasn't even sure if the van was a valid source of shelter to begin with, even if locked. That was probably why Hashimoto-shi's body was found in the van. And since Hisako Mamiya had probably roamed around at night, she'd broken the dream rule. I had no idea why she'd gone outside, but it could have been something simple, such as nature calling or search for a better place to sleep, or maybe she heard something. Of course, as a journalist, she might have smelled the scoop in this ominous village and gone out to gather info. Not to mention, they couldn't have taken a bath in this situation, so they obviously hadn't cleansed themselves. Yeah, so many reasons why they could have, like, broken the rule. And so she died at the hands of that thing. Now, about what had happened to me. I died once after leaving the outdoor toilet. Dying because I'd gone outside was understandable, but honestly, I wasn't sure if the toilet even counted as inside. I bet that it didn't. It didn't, then how do we live? And of course, I hadn't bathed or slept, so I broke all the rules. Yet I survived. What had made my situation different then? Yeah, exactly. It was whether I'd been found by that thing or not. Upon seeing me, it recognized me as a rule breaker and executed me. But when it hadn't found me, I survived despite breaking all the rules. That meant that sheltering law was simply a method meant to keep the werewolf-like thing from finding you. The time I'd survived, I tried to force its way in, but failed. I don't see how something this big, it's so much bigger than the building, it can't just smash it. Like, what is this logic? Nothing had happened to me because I was locked in, but if the lock was broken or something, I'd been found and killed easily. Basically. You could avoid the monster by just properly locking yourself in somewhere. Meiko was proof of that. She was a lost child who'd come from the hated Sarananga, but she survived all the way up to the end without succumbing to the corruption. That meant the most important thing here was to get a lockable residence in Yasumizu with a bath. And that was exactly why arriving via the normal route was necessary. Oh, you know what? Like, people talk about why cleansing was important. I think the bath is to, like, wash off your smell, maybe, so the beasts don't smell you, I think. And maybe it's because Fusaishi was, like, in the bathroom which stank, it covered up his smell. I don't know. That's a random guess, but, like, assuming that all these superstitions and rules are just, like, fake, maybe that's why cleansing, like, is a thing. If I come from Sarananga again, most of the inhabitants would treat me with disgust and disgust driving me away. But if I was a person to arrive through Kamifujiyoshi for whatever reason, they'd be willing to accommodate. Yeah, exactly. Meiko was probably only given a place because she was young and because Rikaku Umeatsu had protected her. I couldn't expect similar treatment. Rikaku Umeatsu preemptively gave a house to Miko? To a small child like her? So that means she knew, huh? That made it seem like she knew the mist and the feast would come, and she warned us in the beginning, you know? I'd think more on that later, though. It could be that she'd given her a key right after the mist comes. I doubt it, probably before. She's like a priestess, so she probably knows something. Anyway, if I could be like Mako and get a proper place I could stay in, I'd have the right to participate in the feast of the Yomi Purge. What about the students' residence? I'd be able to listen to the talks myself instead of relying on Chiemi and be only able to contribute my own thoughts. I'd also learn much more about the feast. That meant a lot, considering that some people there, especially the elders, wouldn't want to talk about Yasumizu's problems to those outside the feast. A part of me wanted to avoid another tragedy, but that part of me that wanted to find out badly what was behind the mystery was equally strong. That monster, and thing that allowed me to speak here still, this loopy phenomenon, were the main mysteries here. Though I did have some questions about the monster. It hadn't found me when I locked myself in the toilet. It was just probably curious why it was locked. Oh, maybe it's not usually locked? Couldn't a monster of a wolf head just track me by scent? Oh yeah. Why did it half-ass the job? Its failure to eliminate me had only made the inhabitants more suspicious of me. There were no feast laws regarding outsiders. That was why it was best of us to be just not present. Looking at the current laws, those who didn't have a place to stay were outsiders, and they had to be removed because of that. The system worked fine for the most part, but then there was me, a proper breach. If that monster meted out of the corruption, it was on the side of the great Lord Shinai. As such, it should have used some divine powers or whatever to address the problem. Also, it seemed to me like they had the power to unlock doors. Man, this was getting confusing. Yeah, like they could unlock doors, you know? Or like could they only unlock one a day? Yeah, no, not these creepy psychos again. Last time, the wolves were Yasunaga Oribe and Taiya Mawaki. According to the legend, they had been replaced by the wolves who'd come back from the dead, but their story was completely different. They said they were normal people who had the wolves as their guardians. That meant that thing couldn't have been Yasunaga-kun or Tai-san. It was more like an agent of the same side as whatever granted their powers. I had no idea why they were granting the protection of the guardians, but from what I could tell, the guardians were like fragments of divine power. And if you were on the same side as the one who granted powers, couldn't you just use the unlocking power whenever you wanted? Why would a supernatural being make such a careless mistake? Any assumptions made beyond this point would just be grasping at straws and bias my observations. I just stop here for now. Anyways, it was imperative I got myself a place to stay. What was I doing here anyway? I'd been theorizing about this and that for almost half an hour now. Dawn was close. I only had a little over the 10 hours until the mist came, and I had to find a secure place to stay within that time. That was hard to begin with, but as things stood, it was outright impossible. Did I have to run away? What if I just ran away to Yasumizu, said I came from Fujiyoshi like it was no big deal, and asked them to let me live there? Well, they had enough imagination to suspect me. I definitely needed someone from Kami Fujiyoshi to vouch for me, and for that, I had to find something that could turn this around. The reporters, I looked around the police box. A tidy desk, a rotary phone. This felt like a place of an officer from the mid-20th century. There were wanted posters on the wall. Oh, they got that guy. One of the men even had the look of a criminal. And that one, a serial killer, eh? And it was possible that he was lurking in the area, huh? That was pretty freaky. A serial killer? I mean, you could say that Yasunaga and Tai were serial killers. Why does it not show us the picture, though? Like, is it someone we know? Finally, I heard some noise. The door opened, and the officer returned.
逃げねえで、いい度胸じゃねえか。
逃げてよかったんですか？
あ
あ He wasn't one to mess around.
いえ、別に僕に後ろ暗いところはありませんので。
名前は？
夫妻師春明です。工房の棒に岩石の石で夫妻師。 太陽のように明治の明で春秋。
Wow, he really explained it.
草石。変わっとる名前だな。まさか偽名じゃなかろうな。
Rude.
東京もんか。
まあ、そうですけど。
It was like anyone weird was from Tokyo to them. Some serious stereotyping there. He was right though.
年は
24です。
あ？仕事は
学生ですよ。
大学か。頭が良うても常識はないな。
Bruh. I just drove on the road at night. That was so unfair. I wanted to talk bad so badly.
で、なんで来た？
He lowered his voice a bit. That was the main matter here, and how he treated me would change depending on my answer. What angle did I have to take? Why are all these keys locked? See, if you followed after your girlfriend, just sounds sussy. But if you say you got lost, they'll be like, what are you doing out here anyways? I think it's less sus. Like, even if we seem like a stalker, this seems like a better reason, you know what I mean? I had an idea.
実は、その、
Yeah, he can just make up some tragic story.
なんだ？いえ。
心に決めた女性が、この辺りにいるって聞いて、
Yep.
追ってきたん
See,
で
I
す
think
よ。
this is the right answer. Look, what an actor. There, he acted like he didn't care, but he was definitely interested. Here in human society, love stories were a supreme form of entertainment and a good excuse for doing all sorts of weird things, yeah. Anything was possible when a guy, girl, or guy was involved.
そりゃあ、そうは言うても、ここいらで東京行っとったもんがおったとは聞かんぞ。
He can mention the reporter, right?
いえ、会ったのは別の場所で。
ほう。
あれは僕が鳥インフルエンザの後遺症で軽井沢に静養に行った時。
And so I wove for him a dramatically majestic story of how I'd grown close to the women I dedicated my life to. How dramatic. The cop was really into it. He looked like he didn't care at first, but by the time I got the part where she first invited me to her house, he displayed a childlike enthusiasm. He's like, I want the tea, where's the tea? Everybody likes tea. Eventually, we became true lovers, but she said she couldn't throw away her childhood home, which led to a tearful goodbye. Sounds like Chiemi. Like he got inspired by Chiemi. At that point, the cop was fully invested in the girl returning back home.
それで君は都会を捨ててこっち来る決意をしたと。ほう。
That's Sal. He smiled like he was about to pat me. I definitely captured his heart. Yeah.
しかし、そんな若い娘おったか？なんつう子だ、君のフィアンセは。
There it was. Everyone in rural areas knew each other, so trying to make up a person wouldn't get anywhere. But that wasn't a problem for me. I had the perfect name in mind, Chiemi.
芹沢千恵美って子です。
帰れ。
What?
え？
帰れ。今すぐ出てけ。すぐ。
Or did we say the wrong thing? He sort of approached me so menacingly, I felt like he was about to attack me. In the end, he jumped on his scooter and led me somewhere crossroads, clearly intent on getting me as far away from Fujoshi as possible. Was that a bad choice? No, really? Really? Okay, well, I'll get a key, right? That's crazy. Okay, so I could use it here. Well, I can probably get some more info. That's crazy. And I'm about to freaking die from the mist again. Now I was heading this so-called Katara area. Well, at least we got a key, right? The rain has already stopped, but it was tiring to drive along the still slick asphalt. So there's definitely something about Chiemi. I want to see more about that. I knew Chiemi and Fujoshi were distant to say the least, and since she'd been out of the village, they couldn't have known what she's been up to. I thought that made my story more believable, but what the hell was that reaction? The thing that set him off was Chiemi's name. She told me she almost killed someone with a bat. Was her reputation that bad? Maybe that old man was somehow related to the person she beat up. Even if that was that the right reaction to make? You'd expect something like, I really think you shouldn't, and the like. Was it because she was from Yasumizu? That makes sense. They didn't want outsiders to know about Yasumizu, and it makes sense for them to chase away anyone coming to meet her. But that only made them look more suspicious. Anyway, what now? You dead, that's what. Maybe I try coming back again after getting some rest at the nearest town? But from what I could tell, entering Yasumizu from Kami Fujiyoshi wouldn't be as easy as I first thought. The fatigue was getting the better of me. I knew it was a good idea to stop, but no, I actually didn't know it. I wasn't able to think straight. Mist? Now? Was it all artificial? No, that didn't make sense. GG! My mind was hazy, and I could no longer make sense of anything. GGMF! He crashed again. Yup. Okay, but we learned something. We learned that we can't talk about her name or something. Obtain key 06, taboo name. Alright, let's look at all the scenarios we can unlock with this, right? Bad ending, number 9. Watch in corner. Yeah, let's watch it. Let's see what they tell us.
残念やっちまったな大将また厄介なことになったなさあどんなヒントを出したもんか今回のバッドエンド9題してちえみの名前が超反応して謎死についてだが手に入ったキー6の中身とそれを使える場所の関係をシナリオチャートでよく見てみな、4潜入の9尋問の回答はに戻りつつ他のキーを探すんだそこまでかな今回はここまで次も元気に死んでこいそういう
Where are we now? Oh my god. It was back on the very beginning. Okay. I think we got the key for 6, right? So we can do 6. Did he say entering the village or interrogation answer? Well, it seems like this is the correct route, but if I go down here, I might get some keys, I think. I forgot which one he told us to go back to. I think it was this. I want to just figure out. I think I can learn more. Wait, let me see. Oh my god, I still can't. I still can't pick? Come on now. Do I need both keys? That's horrible. Dang. Oh, I see. So this one's unlocked after I got the key. This. Got it. So I can't enter the village. Oh man. If I say I got lost, it's probably bad either. Bad too.
なんで来た
Because I don't know how else I'm gonna get the 5th key, so I'm gonna say lost.
バイク旅行中に道に迷いまして。
We'll see where this takes us. I just told him the truth. There was nothing shady about that, and telling him some cheap lies would only make him suspicious. I don't know.
本当か
He put on a threatening tone. I really wish he didn't stare at me like that. Wait, did he expect me to fall for him?
本当ですよ。もう何時間も山の中を迷ってて、ようやく見つけたコンビニで、やっとここのことを知って。
コンビニ勧めたかここに来いと。
She hadn't told me to go to Fujiyoshi, but she had told me about Yasumizu. I just tell the truth until the
なん
end.
か、山の中に地図にない集落があるとか言われて、そこはちょっとって言って、こっちを教えてもらったんです。
そりゃ奇妙な話だな。
あったんですかね、集落。
I feel like you should ask about
さ
it.
あ、知らん。
That was clear in an act. He looked away. Man, this guy was honest.
まあわかった。本当に何でもないんだな。
ええ。
そうか。ま、こんな夜中に出歩いて疑われるようなことはもうせんようにな。
I'd have appreciated an apology for threatening me with so much suspicion, but I had more important things to talk
なの
about.
ですみませんが、一晩止めて。
よし、道を教えてやろう。
Are we sus again? Huh?
いえ、もうヘトヘトでして。
そう言っとる間は大丈夫だ。
Is it because we talked about the settlement? Like, why is he driving us out?
実はガソリンが。
俺の原付の分けてやろう。
ああ、気分が悪くなってきた。
そうか。早く行った方がいいな。
This guy is driving us out.
何かあるんですか？
何もない。
He wasn't even looking into my eyes as he said that. Something definitely going on. He got on his scooter and saw me off until the crossroads. Man, what a great guy, but I didn't expect him to go this far. We dead again, huh? But like, do I get a key? Okay, nice. So now we get both keys. So I guess we have to die a lot here to get all those keys. Man, what a great guy. I didn't expect him to go this far. Yeah, right. Why the hell did he want me out so badly? Well, at least the rain stopped. This was the only good thing about this. Was this some special time of the year when the presence of outsiders was bad? Was it worth chasing me out even if it seemed unnatural? That seemed like a decent guess. Even if the myths hadn't shown up for decades now, if the legends were deeply rooted in rural culture, there would still be related traditions alive. Or maybe he was sure something bad was going to happen? Or was he on the side that'd make it happen? Did they have a means to create a dense mist? Maybe it was all man-made. Mist happened when the cool air cooled and the water vapor in the air couldn't stay gaseous. It was basically small water droplets. The mechanism by which they worked could have easily been replicated in a lab. They even did it on educational TV. Oh, maybe this isn't all myth. Maybe this is science. Although I found it hard to believe they could reproduce a scale vast enough to hide an entire settlement. They need some device that no doubt be very large and heavy. It'd have to be in Sarananga Rapids of all places. Though I'd only been to Sarananga when I couldn't see anything either, and either because it was at night or misty. If the mist was made by a huge machine put there by Kami Fujiyoshi people, I'd be really pissed to say the least. Though Takumi-san did say he had to pick up corpses from Sarananga. Even if it was forbidden ground, it wasn't likely that they could just install a device like that there without anyone noticing. What if they camouflage or hid it? Because recently there's been this other game that something similar happened. Not gonna name the name because I don't want to spoil anything. But if anyone plays similar kind of games and knows what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. That was how it was in some novel, wasn't it? The corpse was there to begin with, but they just couldn't perceive it. I'd have liked to believe in something a tad more realistic. In the end, I had to keep going towards the area called Kachihara, which didn't exist. Maybe I get to rest there? No, I think you just die. If I return the next day, the cop would surely snap at me. Would I even go back? The fatigue was getting the better of me. I knew it was not a good idea to stop, but no, actually I didn't know it. I wasn't able to think straight. And the mist came, and he crashed. Mist? Now? Was it artificial? No, that didn't make sense. My mind was hazy, and I could no longer make sense of anything. You know what? This mist, like, fogs up the brain, and I think that's what happens to the villager. Maybe it's like some chemicals inside? Crash! Game over. Obtain key 5. Nice officer. He wasn't so nice. And then, yep. Alright. What's hint corner? Like, I feel like I'm starting to not need to watch these anymore. But I'll just see what this one has to say.
ここはちょっと説明むずいな。今回キー5が他のキーの入手方法を考えつつ、
Okay.
4つうわけで、
Okay, I think I know. I don't need these
今回はここまで。
hint corners anymore.
次も元気に
I think what
死
to
んで
do.
こ
So
い。
now we can unlock.
で、なんで来た？
I think that, like, this one's the main route. And then we had to go, like, this one, some here down here are probably gonna die too, but we'll get key 7 to enter the village. So we have to go through this route. Yeah.
で、なんで来た？
Snap? I didn't think about that, but that might be the only reason.
何でもいいじゃないですか。
Do we just have to act crazy?
ここは日本だ。移動の自由がある。いつ何時どこにいようが僕の自由だろこら。
You sure he won't throw us out?
なんだ貴様これ。いい加減こっちは死に飽きてんだ。戻ろうがなんだろうが死ぬのも結構辛いんだぞこら。
Oh shit.
てめえこれタコこれ。どうせこのルートもダメなんだろう。おい次はなんだ裸踊りでもしろってのか。いい趣味だな神様。
That's funny. He's literally breaking the fourth wall here.
やれこれクソこれ。つべこべ言わずに止めさせろ。そんで自然な感じで休みずに入らせろ。うわー。あれなした。なんだこいつ。もしもしもしもし。了解。射殺しま
Who's
す。
even talking to shoot? We just what? No way. These endings are all cuck endings. Like, what is this? Like, we had to die 3 times to enter it regularly? This is BS. Bro, these people are wild. They just shot someone. No, I don't need to watch in the corner. I do die 3 times to get 3 keys. I love it. What is this game? This is definitely like some 999 BLR shit. Alright.
ようやくか。
What? What does this even mean? I stopped my bike. Then I flipped out the kickstand and locked it in its place. After opening the toolbox under the seat, I hid my driver's license, business card, anything related to me basically inside it. Kamiyo Fujiyoshi was just ahead. If I came in like that, the officer would surely catch me and chase me away. I had to find another way to let that old man let him stay. Let me say, is he gonna share beer? I reached into the bag of stuff I'd brought in the convenience store and took something out. It was a cup of refined sake. I quickly gulped it down.
美味しくない。
Cheap or not, just chugging sake like this was plain disrespectful. No trying this at home, kids. Not that kids could drink anyways. Fortunately, my life and fate and whatever were on the line here. Next cup. Also, he had to get really drunk, huh? To the point where, like, they couldn't do anything about him. Like, he can't send him away to drive because he's drunk? Right? 3rd cup. 4.
ああ
Oh, okay.
なんだよ、おい兄ちゃん。酔っ払いか？
そうっすな。
That
そ
voice
うっす
acting.
な。
And it's raining.
酒くせ。どっから来た？こんな夜中によ。
そうっすな。
He just has to seem incapable of talking, huh?
ああ、もうわかったわかった。とりあえず駐在所来い。
Okay. Yeah, I've realized this. We had to die 3 times to come over this plan, so we better be surviving. This man always let me go as long as I was good for driving. Then it was best to just not talk at all and come all drunk.
やっしょーやっしょー
Now we're just acting
う
crazy.
るせえなバカ。近所迷惑だ。
Alright, we survived. That's what matters, right? That was way too hard. Like, it was so hard to get into this village, man. This hurts. Like, this hurts me. The creators are just messed up for doing this. And then this one's obviously a dead end because, well, like, where would it have to go, you know? So. Where was I? Ow, 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 my head, back. I hurt all over. Tatami and a blanket. So, he really let me spend the night here, just as I planned. The officer actually was a nice guy. No, he wasn't. He killed you 3 times. He literally shot you one of those times, okay? Not like I couldn't tell. He was just rough and simple. Basically. The way to get around him was to get him to think that there was nothing more to me than met the eye.
おう、兄ちゃん。起きたか。ちょっと話聞かせてもらうぞ。
Alright, it was time.
要するに、金もねえ、仕事も見つからねえ、部屋は追ん出されて、女にも逃げられて、親御さんももういねえ。
It's such a depressing story he came up with. He really tried to sell that tragic backstory right now.
山入って死のうとして酒かっくらったが、死にきれなかったっつんだな。
This is not a bad story to come up with actually, and I think it works on the guy.
はい。
東京っつうのは地獄だな。
And he's getting sympathy, cause then I'm sure they don't like Tokyo, right?
はい。
After I spent an hour lying about myself, the officer looked at me with some pathetic expression.
ま
You
あ、
just gotta talk shit
そ
about
んな
the
チャラ
cities,
チ
you
ャ
know?
ラした格好とかせずに、もっと真面目にすりゃよかったのかもしれねえかな。
はい。反省してます。
Basically, I didn't talk unless prompted, nor did I argue with him. Yeah, good call. This guy was definitely good-natured, but he was also rough around the edges, chatty and a bit preachy. In this case, I just kind of let him set the pace. I was about to ask him something outrageous after all. I needed to be completely on board with his story. The front door was made of glass, and when people passed me on the farm road ahead, they all gave me funny looks. Oh, they can see him. It was early morning, but the people of Fujiyoshi were already aware and concerned about my presence. An outsider.
まあ、死ぬのは良くないわな。
Oh, you think?
はい。酔ってても、怖くて。
Oh.
あんまそんな感じに見えなかったけどよ。
死ぬほど怖いと、笑うしかないんですね。
はあ、そんなもんかもしれんな。そんで、これからどうすんだ？
I paused to make it seem like I was hesitating.
やり直したいです。でも、
Dude,
もう行くところが。
this guy took some acting classes. He's like, I gotta pause here to make it seem like I was thinking, so it seems like it's realistic. That's so funny and good. He's a great liar. What did he do in his past? I faked some tears to quiver as I spoke. Oh my god, he knows how to fake cry too. Bro, give him an Oscar. I'm believing him.
宮崎に嫁の実家があっからよ。小さい工場だが、やってみっか。
Wait, let's see, what did he say? Okay, he said he had nowhere to go. Huh?
奥さん九州の方なんですか？
おうよ。我慢強いいい女だ。
そりゃまたどういうご縁で？
それがよ、俺がまだ20歳の頃。
That's a long time ago. And so he began his grandiose, hour-long talk about his youthful romance. Right, he loved talking about the tea. The words karma and a curse rebound came to mind. Apparently, he wasn't a Fujiyoshi inhabitant at the start. He and his wife were only living here in the sticks because he was a local officer. And it was then that said wife, a plump and present woman, came out and served us tea. So they really were living here. Eventually, they got so lovey-dovey, it was hard for me to talk. Oh, they're third-wheeling him. That's so funny. I instead considered what to do next. I mean, it made it really hard for me to say what I wanted to make a fresh start here in Fujiyoshi. Even his wife suggested that I went to work for her family back in Kyushu. Such nice people. Exactly the type that gets swindled.
それもいいんですけど、ここ、いいですね。自然がいっぱいあって、なんか落ち着くっていうか。
あら、不便なだけよ。それにうちの周りも山だらけだし。
I really like the voice acting. You could tell what kind of character they
なんと
are.
なく、予感っていうか、ここに引き寄せられてきた気がするんです。ここに出会いがあるかみ
You
たい
know
な。
what? That's actually a really nice thing to say because they're into that romance stuff.
そうね、そうね。あたしらと縁ができたものね。
Damn, she was a tough one.
こんな優しくされたの初めてですよ。
Oh, they really gotta play the sympathy
あ
cards.
らあらあら。まあまあ、泣かないで。
僕、お二人に恩返ししたいです。この辺で働き口とかないでしょうか？
Dude, this guy is such a great actor, man. I got to the heart of the matter, but the guy didn't look enthusiastic. His wife left the room, leaving behind the two of us in an awkward
やめ
silence.
た方がいいぞ。
Not the mood shift that
え？
fast.
いや、こんな村、老人ばっかだし、特産物もねえしな。まあ、手伝いくらいならあるかもしれねえが。
それで構いません。お金はいりません。
そうは言っても、ちょっと行けば町があるからよ。
Oh, he's actually talking
こ
about
こで
it.
働きたいんです。
いや、なんだ？ちょっとばかり、ここの連中は変わってっからな。
And him, he went and said it. Listening to his story had made me guess that he wasn't under Fujiyoshi's sway to the other degree others were. They lived here for 20 years, but in some small ways, they were still outsiders. The bitterness in his expression was more than enough to give me that impression.
変わってる？
ああ、いや、なんでもね。まあ、悪いことは言わん。なんか、別の方法を。
Suddenly, I heard a sound coming from the outside. Is it the reporters? It was a town broadcast. Some speakers somewhere in the village were playing some unclear music, and it was. I remember hearing this the first
あ
time.
あ、驚いたか。7時の合図だ。
Yeah, I'd heard this music back in Yasumizu. It was both a children's song and a playground singing game. Chiemi said it was called Prayer to Shinai. So, it was a song revering Great Lord Shinai, but from what I remembered, it was about the feast of the Yomi Purge.
珍しい曲ですね。
なんつったかな。この村に昔からある曲なんだってよ。
So, the village as a whole had inherited it. There wasn't anything strange about that, really. Even if its roots were in the cruel legend, the passage of time would eventually erode said legend's significance. Just introduce something like Wolf Bullying Festival, and it would be nothing more than a decent song to serve as a morning alarm for the villagers. But that was only true if the legend's meaning had been forgotten. What happened next was shocking, even to someone who had their suspicions about the natures of the place. One by one, people started coming out of their homes, forming a crowd. The road before the office was full of people traveling from right to left. Where had this many people even come from? I couldn't get any good looks of the expression, but they were all hanging their heads despondently. Were they just tired?
何事です？
水場に向かってんだ。
The watering hole?
水場？
飯屋のことよ。ここの連中はみんな3食飯屋で食うから。
They definitely don't look like they're under some sort of spell or witchcraftery. That was it.
変わってますね。
なんでも昔、山を焼くとかで火を使っちゃならんという話があって、それに隠れて火を焚いたのが水場らしい。だから今でも、自宅では皆飯を作らんで、水場で飯を食う。そんで、樋口んところが皆の胃袋を握って、
Is Higuchi? I remember hearing this family.
うちがどうかしましたか？
Huh. The door suddenly opened and I heard a soft voice I didn't recognize. Surprised, the officer and I turned around. It was a man in a suit, an average build. His face was round and he looked a bit shy of middle-aged.
なんでもねえですよ、樋口さん。
He seemed like there's contempt in his voice. And it turned out he was a member of one of the 4 head families here, the Higuchi. That was a family Kaori Oribe had married into, but when her husband, the family's head, died, she was sent to Yasumizu. You know, I think... See, this hairstyle really reminds me of, what's it called? That person that we saw who was like dressed in bandages. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but this hairstyle really reminds me. Anyways. There's definitely something about these 4 families, and I want to learn more. That means this man was related to Yasunaga-kun and Yoshizuku-kun. I couldn't see a resemblance. I was definitely intrigued though. Fujiyoshi had a tradition of using the watering hole to feed themselves, and if the Higuchi family was in charge of it, it gave them an influential position. People needed food to stay alive, and if they didn't have any way to cook, they would even consider making food for themselves. Oh, that's why none of the dorm rooms had kitchens, and everybody went to the kitchen to eat. In, Yasumizu? I'm getting the town names mixed up. I could only imagine the power a family could have if this in charge was of all the local food and drink. And maybe that's why Kaori Oribe, was that her name? Was in charge of the food, because she came from this family that was in charge of the food, right? Kaori Oribe was in charge of the dining hall too. Her relation to the Higuchi probably had something to do with that. Perhaps she'd been sent there to fill that role? But even with that case, the idea that Yasumizu had been completely abandoned wasn't true at all. It meant that Kami Fujiyoshi was actually controlling what went on there.
みんなが噂していましたよ。こちらは？
He looks sussy. We can't see his eyes.
妻子っちゅうもんです。何やらいろいろ苦労して、死のうってここいらまで流れてきたと。
へえ。それはさぞご苦労されたのでしょう。
He doesn't seem sorry at all. Higuchi gave me a genuinely sympathetic smile, did he now?
いえ、それにしても、ちょっとどうかしていました。皆さんにご迷惑をかけてしまって。
まあ、そりゃいいが。
なるほど。申し遅れましたが、樋口昌司と申します。藤吉村の、まあ、雑用みたいなことをしてますよ。
どうも、久石春明です。
ハイカラな方ですね。イケメンですね。
Is that what they call it?
いや、そんな。
I don't know. I wouldn't say so either.
どんな話だったのか、
Okay,
伺っ
maybe
て
a
もよ
little
ろしいで
bit,
す
no.
うちはこれから飯にするんで、後にしてもらえねえですかね。
He really wants him to go away.
そうか。いつもご自宅で炊事をされてるんでしたね。あ、
Oh, he
そう
makes his
だ。
own food, but where's the fire?
久石さんはご朝食まだでしょ？なんならこれから一緒にいかがです？うちの実家の飯屋でね、おごりますから。
He is so sassy.
ついでに差し支えなければ、いろいろお話でも聞けたらと。何？これでも一応、世話役みたいなこともしておりまして。藤吉村で起きてることは、なんだって聞いておきたいたちなもんで。ええ。
He looked gentle and easy to get along with, but also like someone I had to watch my step around, definitely. He just walked right up to the local police officer and asked him information like it was a casual request. It was clear who was in charge here, yup. I gave the officers a glance out of the corner of my eye, but he stopped talking. I felt like the conversation I had him could have led me to sharing breakfast with him and his wife, but he hadn't said anything about Shoji Higuchi inviting me, and it was like he was telling me to accept it. Or perhaps there was just no point in trying to
大丈夫
refuse.
ですか？
Even so, I did ask for his
食った
permission.
ら、一応戻してもらってもいいですかね。
But the officer didn't even want to talk to me anymore.
まだ聞きたいこともありますんでね。
Perhaps Fujiyoshi was a place where, in his presence, you couldn't even have a conversation without him involved.
ええ、もちろんですよ。
I see he needs to know everything. So, kind of sus. Like, definitely some control issues. Anyway, it was decided. The sky was clear. The eatery was split into several buildings around the village. From what Higuchi told me, Fujiyoshi had a population about 1,000 people. It was pretty small for an autonomous area, but it was still enough to make eating in one building an impossible. You went into one of them, it was crowded, but upon seeing us, the villagers stepped outside as if this was all planned. Apparently, everybody did what they could to accommodate Higuchi. He seems like a mafia boss, like sheesh. Also, everyone was staring at me like I was an alien or something. But I felt like Higuchi's presence discouraged them from staring too long. That attitude aside, everyone here looked pretty normal. Your usual Japanese people. The lethargy from before was nowhere to be seen. Maybe they just looked lethargic because it was early morning. No, there's definitely something to that. Most looked like they were farmers, but I could also see some students' uniforms bearing the same designs as the ones worn by the students in Yasumizu. The building itself was an aged wooden structure, but it was a whole lot bigger than the one in Yasumizu and looked way sturdier too. The interior wasn't too pretty, but it was spacious. You grabbed a tray right after walking in, then got tea and rice bowls or whatever from the ladies in aprons. It felt like a high school cafeteria, but you couldn't choose what you wanted. You could refuse what you didn't want though.
ああ、こちら、僕が面倒を見るから。
We spoke to the elderly woman one after another and made them stop staring at me with suspicion. Then we all took our trays without paying anything. Apparently they had something like union dues for that. How effective. And walked away. Parting the crowd, we searched for a place to
ちょっ
sit
と手
down.
狭ですが、まあしっかり食ってください。
I really appreciated getting to eat a normal meal. Lots of rice, miso soup, the ones with vegetables and boiled beans. I thought it was vegetarian at first, but something felt meaty inside.
獅子ですよ。 不慣れでしょうが、そんなに癖はないでしょう。
獅子、イノシシですか？
ああ、いえ。この辺では鹿やらイノシシやら、肉は全部まとめて獅子です。
I'm a little sus about this meat, but okay.
そういえば、昔は肉と書いて獅子と読ませてたみたいですね。
よくご存知ですね。この辺じゃ昔から狩猟が盛んで、今でもこうして取れたら、ちょっとずつみんなで分け合うんですよ。
I thought he also wasn't supposed to eat food from Yasumizu. I mean, well, this isn't from Yasumizu, but it's only limited to Yasumizu, where he can't eat food from the whole area. I hadn't thought I'd ever eat wild game in some communal eatery. Lucky me. No, the taste was kind of bland overall. I could detect some soy sauce on the vegetables, while the boiled beans were kind of sweet. The soup stock, too, made me think they used a minimal amount of flavoring. The miso soup really didn't seem like miso soup. It was more like a stew, probably because shishi was the only thing they used for the stock. I tasted more of it and realized that the overboiled meat still had a sort of taste of beastly texture and smell about it. The werewolves? I couldn't call it good, but it was unique local meat not everyone had the chance to eat. I was grateful for the experience. The eatery was still crowded as people came and went, but Higuchi didn't seem bothered as he talked. I kept up with him during the conversation, repeating the same lies I told the officers, making sure to look as much as a poor, unfortunate soul as I could. He smiled all the way through. Even as he interjected now and again, I felt like he was at least 100 times craftier than the officer, and I wondered if it was my inner contrarian speaking. He definitely is by the way they drew his sprite. After that, Higuchi and I returned to the officer's post, but
久石さんには、藤吉に移住してもらってはいかがでしょうね。
it was what I wanted to hear, but I couldn't let it show on my face. While the officer was against it, he didn't intend to argue too strongly. He and Higuchi discussed some things, but it seemed like Higuchi already knew how he'd treat me, and it didn't look like the officer's take mattered much to him. After a few exchanges, the officer caved and it was now my turn to
久
speak.
石さんも、それでいいですね。
Now, that was a smile I couldn't say no to even if I wanted to. Is some sort of like cult? A weird cult? And they're just trying to gather people? Well, it really did seem like the heads of Fujiyoshi were a twisted bunch.
ええ。渡りに船です。
すぐ住んでもらえそうなのが、とりあえずは、ちょっと離れた場所になっちゃいますがね。
It's gonna be Yasumizu? Was he serious?
構いませんよ。どういうところです？
まあまあ、追って説明しますよ。ああ、そういえば、そっちに行く人たちがいたような気がするな。
I think they just sent all the people they don't like there. So why? Like, what is the lore? Yeah, the reporters.
一緒に行ってもらいましょう。
There was no mistaking it. He smiled like he was harmless while forcing me in the settlement for the ostracized.
その、手続きとかは？
転入転出とかは、とりあえず後回しで何とかしましょう。
What a
東京に
liar.
は知り合いがいますから、代理で何とかなるでしょう。とにもかくにも、まずは住むところですね。駐在所にずっと泊めてもらうのじゃ、迷惑でしょうからね。私はそっち方面に行く人たちに、ちょっと話を通してきますよ。ああ、下の連中にも一報しなきゃな。ちょっとバタバタしそうだけど、昼までにはどうにかなるでしょう。
All by lunch? That's a lot of
それじゃ、
stuff
一
to
旦ここ
do.
で。
He one-sidedly entered the conversation and left the post.
いい人ですね。
On the surface, anyway.
うん。まあ、
Yeah, that reluctant, yeah. The officer understood the situation and didn't like it, but couldn't go against one of the heads. This was probably why Chiemi said we couldn't trust the police. In Fujiyoshi, even government institutions were only a secondary authority. Anyway, what could I make of this? I did actually expect to be sent to Yasumizu. The people here had no interest in harboring outsiders. We weren't welcome. Or maybe they wanted to avoid the initial trouble caused by my immigration by making me live with ostracized until I got used to the village. I doubt it. Whatever the case, this wasn't something I had a say in, which made it seem really bad. That was probably why the officer was so against it. I couldn't understand that. Higuchi, on the other hand, seemed a bit heavy-handed with all this. I could understand him wanting to set me up with a place quickly, but as someone who knew about the feast, I couldn't help but be suspicious of the timing. The mist would come this evening, and he wanted to give Yasumizu a new inhabitant until then. Did Higuchi, head of Kamiyo Fujiyoshi, understood what that meant? He probably did.
ちなみに、読んだことない？宝生9個の記事。
すみ
We
ませ
finally
ん。
get to talk to her. I went through a highly familiar exchange and finished my introduction to Hisako Mamiya a second time.
どうも、お世話になります。
どうも。
He was as hard to deal with as always. We barely dealt with him. Higuchi worked fast though. Thorough too. He'd gotten back to me before noon, and before I knew it, I was greeting the ones who'd lead me to my place. Just as I expected, they were the journalists.
樋口さんはもう安水の方に連絡されたってことらしいけど、久石さんはもう大丈夫なのかしら？
ええ。むしろそちらは大丈夫ですか？
Oh, she has a horseshoe. Interesting.
もちろん、お昼に間に合うなら、お腹空かせて苦しまなくていいしね。
なるほど。先方の都合でもっと遅く訪問される予定だったんですね。
そうそう。向こうの人たちの昼食時を回避した方がいいって話してね。こっちとしては皆さんの普通の食事風景を取材したいから、その点でもラッキーってとこかしら。
Oh. So this probably had something to do with the people of Fujiyoshi not wanting to show their daily life to outsiders. They could have just refused them completely though. Did the journalists have connections that made them seem impossible to refuse? Or did they want to show what a developed settlement it was? Or maybe they had no intention of letting them go? Unlikely. If they killed anyone from Yasumizu or someone nobody like me, they could easily conceal it due to how isolated the location of us. But the two journalists had come here to make an article. If something were to happen to them here, it'd be certain to draw unwanted attention to the village. On the other hand, if Kami Fujiyoshi's people knew the feast was near, they probably wouldn't have allowed them here. That's true.
そんなわけで、もう出ちゃおうかと思いますけど、橋本さんどうです？
いいとも。
Whoa, he was slow, but he actually communicated with someone. That was rare.
それじゃあ、お手数ですがよろしくお願いします。
いえいえ。
That was the first exchange I'd share of him, in this life anyway.
もちろん。じゃあ乗って乗って。
Yay, we get in the car. Oh my god, the fields. The van started slowly traveling down the thin, paved road between the farms. Come to think of it, May was rice planting season. The field had water all over it, and didn't display a single weed. It was full of people planting nice seedlings by hand.
機械でやってないんですね。
そのようね。ここの人たちはみんな、あんまり新しいものは好きじゃないみたい。
コンバインやらトラクターやらがそんなに新しいとも思わないですが、逆によく手作業で回りますね。
回ってないと思うわ。だから今はメーカーの人たちが中心になって重機を導入しようとはしてるらしいけど。
なるほど。樋口さんとかです。
農業改革の方は荷車さんという方たちが担当しているって聞いたわ。
なるほど。ちゃんとお金はあるんだ。
そうみたいね。どういうからくりかはわからないけど。
Question mark?
からくりって？
いや、まあそのね。基本的に外からの収入が出稼ぎのみで、高齢化で人が減ってる産地の町村にしては、メーカーさんはお金持ってるなって。
That is true. Where did they get their money from? They're extorting the people, huh? But the people have no money. Like they had a system. I forgot the name what it was, but you know how the people didn't have to pay? They had a system. The union something? I don't know. But they definitely doing some shady stuff to get that money.
そうなんですか？
ええ、荷車さんちとっても大きかったわよ。大きな会社も止まってたし。
I feel like this is some hint for some deal they make that we learn later. Yeah, even if it was something that could be easily explained, it was still something to keep in
キ
mind.
ューちゃん。
はい。
The strange nickname Hashimoto-san used surprised me, but Mamiya-san herself didn't seem bothered.
あんまり憶測は良くないね。
ですけど、
記者魂が騒ぐかい？
そんな偉いもんじゃないですけど、
I really like her voice, by the way. It's really smooth and like reporter-like. I think the
今
VA did a
回
good
は
job.
このまま流すのがいいよ。
それは名写真家の勘です。
どうかな。
And I really like the way they wrote their characters. I'm feeling it.
わかりました。専門外ですしね。というわけで、さっきのは忘れて。
ええ。
I think she has decent intuition, and he too. Nope.
ちなみに、あなたはこっちへ移住するって聞いたけど、
そうなりました。
これから行く場所については聞いてる？
聞いてませんけど、だいたい想像はつきますね。
My words made her give me a strange look.
というと？
多分あんまり居住条件が良くないところでしょう。こっちのメインの集落とは切り離された感じの。
なんでそう思うの？
みんな僕の処遇について奥歯に物が挟まったような物言いですし、樋口さんがただの親切な人ってより後ろめたいことを平然とできるような人に見えたからです。
そうか。
僕にはお構いなく、僕はそれでもここに住めるなら満足なんです。
余計なお世話かもしれないけど、本当にかなり偏僻なところよ。田舎への憧れだけじゃ耐えられないかも。
大丈夫ですよ。死ぬのに比べたらどんなところでも天国です。って変な言い回しですが。
Yeah, that does sound strange. She's like, how do I respond to this? Let me just awkwardly laugh it off. What an awkward laugh. Well, what is she supposed to say to that? Dude, sometimes, like, I'm talking to people, and... Well, I worked, like, in customer service jobs, and, sometimes I just be talking to people, or, like, in real life, and I just, like, don't know how to respond to some of the things people say. Like, it's so out of pocket. It's just like... what do I say to that? That's exactly one of these moments right now. Apparently, they've been told I'd almost committed suicide.
というわけで一応聞いておきたいんですが、どういう
特別な地区。
キューちゃん。
So she knows something. She tried choosing her words carefully, but that made it sound worse than just a place for the ostracized. Hashimoto-shi seemed to be warning her, but she continued talking anyway.
私もまだわからないけど、意図的にその理不尽な境遇に置かれた人たちが住まわされてて、上富士吉、この辺りの人たちからはあまりよく言われてない。その場所も人もね。
情報は軽々に漏らしちゃダメ。
She seems like someone who's very curious. Like the girl seems like someone who's very curious and wants to learn more about things and like has a righteous like sense of justice. That's why like she's saying these things. And he seems someone who like he knows stuff, but he knows how to like protect himself and not leak the information.
相手を選んでます。何も知らされずに住まわされる人が、本来知ってしかるべき公正な情報提供ですよ。
Yeah, she's like a genuinely nice person who cares.
それでも彼に事前に言っておくべきだね。
そうですね。すみません。うさしさん、これオフレコで。
ええ、向こうの人にも言いません。
その上で大丈夫？考え直すなら今日ここを帰るときに一緒に。橋本さんどうでしょうか？
彼が望むなら考える。
うさしさん、 一緒に出ていく気は？
These two had an interesting relationship. Yeah, they're definitely kind of opposites. Mamiya-san did all the talking, but Hashimoto-san seemed to outrank her. Hell, even though he didn't speak much, everything he said was really well constructed. Made sense, so to speak. While Mamiya-san often became overly excited, Hashimoto-san was strangely stable, and not just in terms of appearance. Wait, this was no time to scrutinize my traveling
いいん
companions.
です。もう町には帰る気はないですから。でも、お気遣いはありがとうございます。
でも、
間宮さんは多分、都会人と地方人って視点で気遣ってくれてるんだと思いますけど、僕も十分うさんくさいですからね。何かしら便宜を図ってくれただけで、十分にありがたいと思うんですよ。
そう。なら何も言わないわ。
おさいし、春明くん、だっけ？
なんでしょう。
行き詰まりそうな人には見えないけどな。
He's good at reading people. I think he's a lot smarter than he not exactly lets on, but because he doesn't talk that much, you know. But he's definitely someone who he seems pretty aware or keen to pick up on things, but he doesn't say it. He just keeps quiet.
ヘラヘラしてるからよくそう言われます。
そうか。失礼したね。
私、中学の時の同級生が一人自殺してるんですけど、いっつも能天気で、みんなまさか彼だけはって思いましたよ。
You know what? I think it's a good thing to bring it up because a lot of times when people look happy, actually really depressed inside. So don't always judge people by the experience.
そういうものかもね。
I might have said too much. Recalling the scene at the officer's post, I tried to get back into the character of the poor suicidal man. The van slowly ambled onward. We approached a slightly more open space. It seemed to be the center of the village and looked like there were small shops there. But as we went on, it started to become even more desolate, and you could see more and more trees growing here between the buildings. If that was where Kamifujiyoshi ended, it was only about 3 kilometers across. If it was about 10 square kilometers in size, it had 100 people for every one of them. The stones I'd seen back in Yasumizu were nowhere in sight. Apparently, they really were Yasumizu exclusive. I could see a large building nearby, and Mamiya-san told me it was a branch school from some nearby town. All students in Fujiyoshi must get their education there before moving on to help the field. The smarter ones left to work outside the village upon graduating high school. Those who went here to college were rare, meaning at least relative to other locals, Chiemi was a prodigy. The students from Yasumizu should have been in school this time of day. Once we passed the last residence, we entered an area mostly untouched by human land. The road led us to overgrown mountains.
これは
There were large stones on each side of the
象
road.
徴的でしょ？鳥居みたい。
鳥居ですか。
ええ。神の使えたる鳥の宿り木、もしくは聖域へと至る結界の入り口。富士吉では山岳信仰があるみたいね。
You know, she sure did her research. She knows a lot.
神内明神。
知ってるの？
Crap.
樋口さんから軽く聞いたんです。
でも、この村の外ではあんまり聞かないのよね。この山が特別だって話。神内っていう神格も聞いたことないし。字面からすると猿関係なのかな。でも、神を猿に振り分けるのは単に暦と方角の話よね。
間宮さんってフードライターじゃなかったんです？
You know, I think she definitely knows more about this village because if she was only in for food, why does she know so much about other things? I think there's more that she's also coming here for a reason outside of food.
あ、失礼。もともとはオカルトライターをやってたの。全然食べていけなくてすぐ転校したけどね。
So she started writing about food. She looked like your typical neat, fashionable career woman, so this was really unexpected.
そうなんですか。面白そうですけど。
今の時代、 うさんくさい情報を読みたい人はみんなネットを見るからね。
I can see
紙
that.
に書かれた怪奇情報はみんな嘘で、本当の怪奇情報はネット。そんな住み分けになっちゃったみたい。残ったわずかなパイはみんな重鎮の先生方に取られちゃうからね。新人にはきつい世界だったかな。
Maybe she's also here for the occult stuff, you know? Now she mention it, I didn't see many magazines on the occult and the supernatural these days. No idea if that was good timing though. The car passed by a large
道
boulder.
が悪くなるから気をつけて。
They act like they've been here before.
はい
The moment he said that, the car jumped, scaring the crap out of me. Those stones are the mountain's boundaries. We were now on Great Lord Shinai's turf. Beyond it, we found Yasumizu and Sarananga. The entrance to Yomi was beyond the sacred ground. This religion just kept getting weirder and weirder. Eventually, the pavement ended where we were on a gravel road. The grove of trees became a dark forest. It was cloudy, so there wasn't much light to begin with, which only made this place extra creepy. I composed myself. After all, the real creepiness was at the end of the road. We weren't saying a word anymore, and I thought about the mundane stuff like convenience of cars. We went down on the road, side of the mountain for about 20 minutes, and eventually made it through the God's Narrow Road. Beyond the dense forest, there was a relatively open space. We arrived at the entrance I passed when Haru-chan escaped the settlement when I searched for her. There were the same two large stones. They did a great job telling me this was some sort of boundary.
もうすぐね。
I felt like I heard a hint of nervousness in her tone. Were we about to enter a strange realm? Or were we already there? There was no point thinking about it now. We just passed the gate and... She was... I stared, careful not to lose sight of her. Wait. Why is she here? Why is Umeatsu here? Our eyes met. A mysterious red stare, white hair trailing behind her. She looked at the man as we passed. And she fell.
岩で後頭部を強打しもだえ苦しんでいる。すみません、止めてください。
Did you really?
何事？
Sudden as it was, Hashimoto-san stopped the van. I jumped out and ran at her.
大丈夫ですか
She is such a klutz. She was still writhing on the ground with her hands on her head. There was no trace of divinity and mystery from last time, or from just a moment ago.
痛い。
でしょうね
どなた？
通りすがりのものです
私は誰？
ちょっと待て
一度行ってみたくて。
That's
ボケ
funny.
をおかましになる余裕が終わりで
あまりの痛みに取り乱しました。
The girl, or rather woman since she was older than me, became red as a tomato right before my eyes. Rikaka Uematsu. Was she an albino? Her skin and hair were pale, while her eyes were blood red. Her unusual appearance and manner of speech were exactly as I remembered. But, man, where did this playfulness come from? Well, I hadn't spoken to her much last time, so maybe I didn't know her as well as I thought I did.
大丈夫なんですか実際
痛いのは平気な証拠と、ありし日の母は申しておりました。
What a saying, but kinda true.
いやそれは場合によりけりで失礼
You know what? Sometimes kinda not true. Slightly hesitant, I reached out for her head, gently touched it, and examined the damage.
ああちょっと血が出てますねコブもできそう冷やしながらしばらく安静にした方がいいです
お医者様でいらっしゃる？
いえ常識の範囲の応急手当ですがとりあえず見る限りでは大怪我じゃなさそうですが気分が悪いですか
いえ、なんだか髪を触られると。
You know what? Rikaku is a character. She's a character for sure.
悪い気持ちではないのですが、なんだかその
You know what? Was she like locked up?
妙な心持ちが
What, growing up or something? Like she seems so like lacking in social communication skills. Like she seems like she hadn't interacted with a lot of people. Was the skin on her head sensitive or something?
いきなり第一村人とスキンシップとは、不妻子くんやるわね。
Oh my.
何をおっしゃるうさぎさん。
What the fuck? That jump scare is not what I needed. That did not need her dick did this on purpose. Out of nowhere came the old lady. Bro, that jump scare.
濡れ衣
I
です
did
よ。
not
というか、
stop.
あと、
Give me-
おばあさん、その上松様がそこで
Oh my
間抜
god.
けに滑
Why
っ
are
て
they
頭に大怪我を。
overreacting? And where does she come from?
馬の方にドロ
Oh my god.
真似をされなすったか。なんとかわいそう。
Bruh.
恐ろ
Why
し
is
い。
it shaking like this? She wasn't listening at all. They make me look like an earthquake. Feeling a bit stupid for worrying so much about her, I explained what happened and cleared up the misunderstanding.
ご迷惑をおかけしまして。
Dude, that gave me a
誤
heart
解を
attack.
受ける方が悪いのよ。
ああ、すみません。
上松様、とりあえずお家で横になっとるのがええ。
山脇さん、ご心配なさらず。
Definitely don't trust her after last time.
今ちょうど野里様が休みずに来とられますからね。今呼びますから。
下まで送りましょう。
お願いしようか。
Now, this isn't usual. She hated outsiders, but she couldn't say no to Hashimoto-san's presence.
上松さんですっけ。病院とか行かなくて大丈夫です。
From a bump in the head?
お医者様がいらっしゃるので。
Really?
そうならいいけど。手を貸すわ。乗れる？お手数をおかけします。妻子くん、悪いけど後ろね。
That was full of equipment. It was full of equipment, though.
歩きますよ。
やめなさい。
I've been talking nonchalantly, but her response was a stern one. Well, it was true I could have caused some serious trouble if I arrived completely alone. I knew this from my experience arriving via Sarananga. Also, I wasn't supposed to be familiar with the area. I had to avoid looking suspicious.
本当にすみません。
いえいえ、気になさらずに。
いえ、その、上松、理香子と申します。回るに末で、上松、すももの花で、理香子です。
Spin and end?
そういえば、まともに自己紹介もしてませんでしたね。不妻子春明です。厨房の棒に石器の石。陽明学の陽明で春明と読みます。
不妻子、春明様。
I felt like she didn't get it at all. Anyway, thanks for that. I became an inhabitant of the back seat and a fellow passenger alongside Rikaku Uematsu. Man, how long is this? You know what? I feel like I don't know how long this is gonna get. And like, I feel like what happens next is all gonna be a big chunk. So, I want to stop it over here now. I think we did a good, decent amount of progress. Like, yes, we didn't learn about the feasts and stuff. We're still getting settled into this new route. But, like, we did figure out how to get into this village. We met Rikako. And then we met Taisan again. So, and we, like, met some new characters in the reporters. So, I feel like this is a good place to stop. And, yeah. I will catch you all next time in the playthrough. Bye!